Hello everyone and welcome back to the second race day of the NGL World Biathlon League. This time we start off with the rules. Every athlete has to be an 82 overall rating, so they can be on 60 shooting and 96 skiing if they want to, but in the end, or if all stats are counted together, and divided by the amount of stats, it has to be an 82 overall rating. The point system is the same as in IRL, so the first place gets 90 points, the second place 75, the third place 65, and the list goes so on. The difficulty that will be played on is insane. This is only relevant for shooting, but it is the hardest difficulty in game. The three worst results of the season won't count, so if you get 10th in one race and miss the other two, these two results are your worst results and will be X'd out. There are two lobbies or sessions every day. One will be about 6 p.m. and the other about 9 p.m. CT. The times will be compared to each other, and then we will have one race day winner. So if you win in the first race, but the second session is still to come, you are not the winner because you have to wait till every time or everyone has their time. So now let's jump into the actual race. We start off in session 1. We have some good athletes right here. For example, Carl Katau, Sky, and Socket. These three guys are probably or have the best chances to win. Katau and Sky were battling for the second and third place in the sprint and pursuit on race day 1. We can see Norman is again here, and Captain will be on position 4 starting, but he isn't mentioned on that list. And we see already the shooting is going on the track. We have big time gaps. Just to clarify, my time doesn't count, so you have to view Kartao as 1, Norman as 2, who just cleaned out. And if we are looking at Kartao, he also cleaned out all shots, with Sky now entering the prone shooting, hitting 2, hitting 3, hitting 4, and hitting all targets. This will definitely be the line to go for. There won't be too many misses, it seems like, after the first shooting. So if you want to win this race, you have to shoot 0. Now we see Socket entering the shooting stand, Captain already a bit behind with a not too good skiing. But after the first shooting, we see Cardao is ahead of Sky, who's pretty close ahead to Norman, and Socket now shooting. One mistake costing him a 20 seconds time penalty. Captain now entering the shooting stand 2. He definitely has to shoot 0 to be competitive in this particular race. We just see that Socket somehow disconnected. I don't know if he left, but he won't re-enter the cup or the race, as I imagine, at least. And Captain cleans out all targets as well, resulting in everybody shooting 0 to this stage. We can also see that Katao is a bit ahead of Sky. Now entering to the second shooting, Katao already overran Norman. Both shoot at the same time, Katao taking his time more. Norman cleans out all shots, and Katao, as the probably best shooter around here, does too, with Sky having a bit of trouble to be fast enough to be competitive with Norman, but he can hit all targets. And Captain, we can see, is still on one part of the track, on the sprint part of the track to be specific. We see all have about 3.5 seconds time gaps to each other. That is quite a lot, and already being at the third shooting. It's the last prone shooting of the race, with Norman cleaning out all once again, and Cartel wasn't able to overtake him on track, and he isn't on the shooting stand either, and Sky probably has no chance competing with Yorok. In this case, it's Kartao, but he cleans out as well to secure his second place and a good time after the third shooting. We see that Sky has 4 seconds to Kadao and 3.5 seconds to Norman. The last shooting is a direct shooting of Norman and Kato once again, shooting at the same time. Kato, however, was still not able to overtake Norman on track, but both clean out and will go on the last lap pretty much together, with Norman being a bit ahead, but Kato leading the race. Sky has to shoot 0 to be in front of Norman, and he does. Norman has 9.9 seconds on Katao, which is basically the time they were apart from the start, with the beginning 10 seconds. And Sky has 5 seconds to Katao and 5 seconds to Norman, having not the most interesting last lap, but still every bit of a second counts. And Norman wasn't able to keep up with Katao on last lap, but all have to fight for a good time because session 2 is still to come. We can see Sky is fighting to get over the last little hill. We can see Norman and Katao being very, very close to the finish line, with Katao now reaching the finish line, and Norman had a pretty good last sector, but at least it wasn't enough to keep up with Sky, who will have a 6 seconds time gap to Kato. Now we can see Captain also entering the arena and now reaching the finish line, but with 6 mistakes and 2 minutes time penalty, he has no opportunity to be anywhere close the top guys. In here, we can see that the shooting time in total wasn't the factor that decided the race. It's just about 2 seconds, and 2 seconds isn't enough to change the actual race result. Everything got lost on ski time, with that being the final result of session 1. In Division 2, we have the current GC leader Philip Holacek and me, the current 4th best athlete, to that point in the GC, and we already jump ahead and see that Holacek has a 1 second time gap on me. Just to clarify, this time my time counts, and the new athlete, the Russian athlete, won't take place in this tournament and won't matter too much. Now we see Holacek at the shooting stand, and he misses 1 shot, which he didn't in sprint and pursuit on race day 1, and we also shoot 1 time penalty. And we saw in the session 1 that there is the possibility of gaining 20 seconds on others, but for that we have to stay clean in order to have any chance of winning the race. We see M Fantasy missing 2 shots, already marking him out of the race competition, and Blue at the shooting stand missing the last shot. So in this lobby, the first shooting doesn't go so well because everyone shoots at least 1 mistake. In the other session, it was that everybody cleaned out, so this division or this lobby might have a big problem on the shooting stand. Now, seeing that we are 3 seconds ahead of Holacek, we get back to the shooting stand. Holacek, a pretty fast shooter. Will he clean out in the first standing shooting of the day? He will, and puts a bit of pressure on us, and we immediately follow for it with Tessie missing one shot and having a 20 seconds time penalty once again. M Fantasy has a general time gap on us, and we are definitely ahead of him because he already missed 2 shots, but he cleans out as well. Now we see the Russian, who is just there for fun, missing 1 shot as well. And Blue, he is not the best on track. He has to shoot 0 to be in front of others. Is he able to do it this time? Hitting the last shot as well? Yes, he is. Yeah, but still he will have a tough race, as well as M Fantasy with his already 2 penalty times, as well as I do. Now getting to the second prone shooting, Holacek shot 1 mistake there yet, and Marcel Tessier did so too. Holacek shooting 1 penalty time. That way, Marcel Tessier is back in the business of winning at least this lobby to get maybe a top position also in the overall standings. Yes, he is 2 seconds ahead of Philip Holacek, which isn't that much. This is a bad shooting time and a bit of skiing, so we have to see who has the most power for the last 2 laps. And Fantasy cleaning out this time, doing a very good race after the first prone shooting. But the first shooting is also a part of this race, and now we see we have a 1.7 time gap on Holacek. We are still up front. Testier still having a lot of pressure if Holacek cleans out with a fast 0. Now Blue at the shooting stand, he loses way too much time on skiing, but he cleans out as well, now having the opportunity to at least not get last, to stay ahead of Captain and ahead of Will Uplin, who went in a separate lobby. Now, Tessier only has 1.5 seconds left of his time gap to Holacek. So if Holacek can really put pressure on Tessier, can Tessier hold the pressure? Holacek hits 2, but misses the 3rd shot. So Tessier only has to shoot 0 to be up front. This doesn't seem to be a very fast shooting. He takes his time and hits 18 out of 20 shots. But now we can see that Tessier is still behind because he shot 2 penalty times. He has to be very, very quick to get third if this was still possible at this point. And Fantasy now shooting and cleaning out once again. The shootings 2 to 4 were okay, especially the standing shootings for all participants in this lobby, but they shot all mistakes or missed a few shots, so the winner will come out of Division 1. Most likely, yeah, the time already passed by. Marcel Tessier still fighting for every place he can. Holacek now reaching the finish line. With a solid race, he might lose his virtual yellow jersey to Yorok or Kartao in game 2. We see Blue still having a big gap but he may be able to stay up front of Will Uplin. We will see that in the result list later. And now M Fantasy will reach the finish line just after the Russian athlete. M Fantasy reaching the finish line exactly now, having only 27 seconds time gap, but shot one mistake less than Holacek. Now Blue also reaching the finish line, getting dead last in this race. And Fantasy lost a lot of time, this 27 seconds that I mentioned earlier on track, especially the last lap didn't go too well for him. Holacek still in big competition. If he shot one less miss, he would have the opportunity to be in consideration against Tessir. In this case, he simply isn't. We can see that on the shooting time, Holacek gained a lot of time on Tessir. Blue took way too long and lost a lot of time also at the shooting range. So he definitely has to improve for next race day and next World Cup station, because we were once again in Antholz, just like in Sprint and Pussy. These are the results of the second division, and now we will come to the official results. And these are the final results of the day. All three podium candidates come from the first lobby or the first session. We see Sky again being second. He was third last races, being very constant, but still always a bit worse than Yorok, who wins the third competition of the season and getting his first win. We see Norman with his first podium. Shooting zero was the laying ground. If Philo Peak and me shot zero or one or two less mistakes, we would have won this race, but in the end, an individual is always to shoot clean and not to ski fast. We see M Fantasy having a very solid sixth place. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, sixth place, yes. And Blue was able to stay ahead of Epic with a 20.6 seconds gap. With this being said, we can take a look on the overall classification. We see that Yarok got one place up, with Philippe not being at the top anymore due to Yorok's win in the individual. Sky, with his constants being third and second, is currently on third position, and Epic also with a pretty bad race, still in fourth position after winning both races in Division 2, getting 90% of the real points. M Fantasy is with 172 points, still good, and Norman, after getting his first podium of the season, has the same points as Sissy. Then there is a giant gap to the others. A lot of them competed today, and two of them competed today, with Captain Blue only having 1 point difference, and others not competing, such as Nadal, Goldifu, Alkine, and Muffin Man. We will see each other next week, or in this case, in a few days, for race day 3.